my fight fans? So, there's a huge topic I want to talk to you guys about. This past weekend, we had the whole fight night. I believe it was over in the UK, somewhere over there. And you had the Lerone Murphy Mozavar fight. Wasn't the greatest. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what Dana White said after the fight in the post-fight press conference. And a journalist or a reporter, one or the other, had asked him a question about Zuffa Boxing, and he had asked him, would he allow MMA fighters or his UFC fighters on his roster to fight on the Zuffa Boxing promotions? Dana White 100% said no, he is not interested in crossover fights. So now I ask you guys this: is that going to be a huge problem for the UFC roster? I believe so. I personally believe so. Why do I believe that? Because, again, the biggest topic right now is fighter pay. And the thing that's always been a topic. You know, the UFC has always been poured with gasoline. Poured with it. You know, it was going to go up in flames any moment due to fighter pay. That's how I felt like. I felt like it was just going to be an explosion that was going to happen. And finally, what lit the match was this Conor Benn $15 million for one fight with Zuffa Boxing. That lit everybody up. That got everybody frustrated. That got everybody upset. And we're not talking about just random regular fighters. We're talking about champions. We're talking about high-level fighters. We're talking about guys like Sean O'Malley, Sean Strickland, John Jones. You know, we're even hearing things about Conor McGregor. So we're hearing it from a lot of big players within the UFC roster. So now, when Dana White says no, he does not want his roster a part of this organization. He just wants to go pure boxing, 100% pure boxing. That to me is going to make it even worse, because now where a lot of these fighters feel like they only can make that big paycheck, like Conor McGregor did with Floyd Mayweather, and like Francis Ngannou did with Tyson Fury, they can only do it in boxing. And now their promoter, their boss, Dana White, is saying that he does not want them involved in any kind of the promotion. Then, yeah, I do not see a lot of the fighters re-signing. 100% do not see it. I see guys like Sean O'Malley, who can have a great fight, a great crossover fight with Ryan Garcia. That would do massive numbers. It would be a big blockbuster fight. Would it be a great fight? A very high-level chess technical boxing match between two great high-level boxers? No. But would it still do big numbers? Would it get Sean O'Malley paid? Probably the biggest paycheck he's ever had, including in the UFC, including him being as champion? Yes, I believe so. Will you get Sean Strickland possibly doing a boxing match? Possibly. Will you get Justin Gaethje doing a boxing match? Possibly. You know, a lot of these guys that want that big, massive paycheck, that want that double-digit $1 million paycheck, they're only going to get it in boxing, and they're not going to get it in the UFC, since Dana White is not going to allow them to do any kind of crossover. You know, and I know what he said. He said, like, oh, well, the crossovers never do well. Well, I beg to differ, because that Francis Ngannou-Tyson Fury fight did really, really good. You know, the numbers did great. You know, Francis Ngannou made a lot of money, and Francis Ngannou did actually really, really good. You know, he knocked down Tyson Fury. So, you know, it's not something that's 100% go to. It's not 100% where it's going to do massive and it's going to be a big old blowout. No, but it's still going to get your guys paid, and it's going to make them happy. And of course, what even more so, it's going to make his promotion even that much bigger. Way bigger. Like, I know he wants the respect of the boxing community, and he doesn't want people thinking all circus acts. Who cares what other promotions think? Who really cares? You know, where other promotions are not putting on great fights themselves, where we're not seeing any great massive fights, big explosive cards from Golden Boy or from Eddie Hearn or from Frank Warren. We're not seeing any of that right now. You know, we are seeing some names come around, sure, but we still want that big, massive fights that we used to get back in the day. And, you know, Dana White could do that. And even more so, he can actually use these fights to build up his promotion, where you can you put on like a Ryan Garcia versus Sean O'Malley. Let's just use that for example as a main event. On the undercard, you have all of Dana White's boxers, you know, on that undercard. So he's promoting those guys along with his massive guys. So where everybody's going to want to see the Ryan Garcia, Sean O'Malley, they're also going to see some of Dana White's up-and-coming boxers. You know, it's like basically they're building their name off of the star power of these two other fighters, and it's going to help build his promotion even that much more. That's how I feel. Now, of course, we're not just talking about a boxer versus MMA fighter. You could do boxing versus MMA versus MMA, where Dustin Poirier actually had mentioned that he wanted to do a Nate Diaz boxing fight, and Dana White said no to that. Like, come on, what are we doing? Who would not want to see that? I actually really loved that Jorge Masvidal Nate Diaz fight. I really did. It was just very upsetting the fact that the promotion that they had it was really, really weak. And of course, we all know there ended up being lawsuits thrown around. No, a lot of people didn't get paid what they were supposed to get paid. So yeah, it was just crazy. It was just really, really crazy, and it just sucked. But at the end of the day, if you look at the fight was awesome. I love the fight. You have two stand-up guys throwing and banging, throwing hands and everything like that, and they're just trying to bang. That's it. And that's what I really, really loved. That's what I really, really loved. I love the fact that they were really, really trying to like knock each other out. It wasn't like a grappling. It wasn't what we see now these days. We see some of these days now where we saw the Hamza Chimaev versus DDP, pure grappling. The Islam Makhachev versus JDM, pure grappling. You know, it's like, man, come on, guys. What are we doing? We're not seeing that. Nobody wants to see that. Are you telling? I know what MMA peers are going to say, like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to see these guys box. I want to see them MMA fight. I want to see them fight in MMA. Well, look at what we're having in MMA these days. We're having guys hold on each other. We're having guys like not really, you know, give it all their best anymore. We're having guys like straight up just doing their best to fight safe, just to win. They're not trying to impress nobody. They're not trying to knock out nobody. They're not trying to do anything but just get that victory. And it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. But you got dogs out there like a Nate Diaz, like a Justin Gaethje, like a Dustin Poirier, like a Jorge Masvidal that will 100% give us some great shows. And by giving us great shows in your main event, again, right now Dana White doesn't have any massive star in his boxing promotion. Not right now. But they can very easily be a promotion or very easily be a massive star when they are at when they're on the undercard of other massive stars. When you put a Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz on a big boxing fight promotion, and you really promote the hell out of it, while on the undercard you have his I think Callum Walsh, I think his name is, and you have your Jaya Opataya. I'm sorry if I'm saying that name wrong, but anyway, they're not massive stars, but then you could build them up on that card and make them into massive stars, where those guys now have a big platform. Like, sure, if you put those two names on the fight card right now, not a lot of people are going to know. A lot of people are not even going to care because they don't know who these guys are. But, of course, everybody cares and knows who Dustin Poirier and Nate Diaz is, so we are 1,000% going to watch that. But when you put that on and you see these guys, you see the Callums or the Jazz, and you see them, like, throwing hands and throwing bombs and literally beating the shit out of their opponent, of course, we're going to be like, oh, wow, I'm kind of glad I bought this because now I got to see this guy. That's how a lot of the MMA stars were born. Because when we paid to see a Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar, or we paid to see a Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, we also saw the undercard, and some of those guys really showed us like, whoa, who's this guy? Who's this fighter? You know, we never really anticipated to see their co-main event or the first fight on the main card to be as great as it was, because what we really want to see was the main event. So that's what I'm saying for Dana White. If he's really going to go down this road where he's not going to allow his stars to cross over, then a lot of his stars are not going to want to resign, especially as they get a little older. They're going to be like, you know what? I did what I need to do, especially Sean O'Malley. Guys like Sean O'Malley, and especially guys like Nate Diaz, like he's doing already. Dustin Poirier, like he did already. They won the belt. They won the championship. They went to the highest level. They're going to the Hall of Fame. They've been in fights that are going to the Hall of Fame. What more do I need to do in the MMA world or the UFC world? I'm just going to go box. So I really would hope that Dana White would allow some of these guys like Dustin Poirier, who's under contract with them, where Nate Diaz and all these other guys, we already know Nate Diaz is going to MVP. So he's doing his thing, and he already went and boxed and he made some money. Well, hopefully he did. Just it sucks the promotion that was there, we already talked about. But nonetheless, hopefully he allows these guys to go out there and make some good money. Because that's the biggest thing right now. It's about making money, letting you guys go. 100%. Go ahead, do your thing, make your massive money, and you always have a house here. You always have a house here. Because let's just say, for example, Dana White is like, oh, you're right. You know what? Yeah, they're going to make a lot of money, but let's see how they do if they go and box. And now if, like, hypothetically, if Ryan Garcia and Sean O'Malley, like, Sean O'Malley does get let go and decides to go box and he gets knocked out flatline, he's probably not going to make as much in the UFC after that. But if he does knock out Ryan Garcia, now you got yourself one hell of a massive star. So it's a win-lose, yes, 100%. But it allows the fighter to make more money, and it gives him a chance to be a bigger star than what he could possibly be. And if he does it, then great. If he doesn't, oh wow, he made a lot of money. He gave it a shot. Now he goes back to the UFC, and he can do whatever he can do with maybe lesser pay, but who knows? But that's just me speaking out there. That's 100% what I feel is going to be a huge, massive problem for Dana White with this whole boxing promotion, with him not allowing his UFC roster to go and join in on all the fun, on all the money that they could potentially be making. And it's another big issue that we're having in the UFC world today. Like, not enough freedom, not enough ability to make more money. Where it's just very unfortunate right now because these guys are giving in their all. They're doing their best. They are trying to make as much money as possible, especially the older guys like we talked about. And it's not working out 100%. So guys, let me know, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Dana White's going to change his mind and allow the fighters to make their money and join his promotion, or he's going to stick to his gun and say, nah, 100%, you guys do your thing. You're part of this contract. You're in this contract. You are 100% signed to us, just like Alex Pereira. I mean, look at Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira pretty much signed an 8-fight deal, and the guy's like 38, I think. He's 38 years old, and he can't go out and do his boxing. The guy was a kickboxer. Don't tell me anything like, oh, well, I don't want to see no crossover. What do you mean? He is a kickboxer. The guy has hands. The guy can actually do the guy can actually box. So the fact is now, with the no crossover, and now 8 fights in, the guy's going to be well into his 40s, way past his prime, and he's not going to be allowed to box. So yeah, it's going to be a little unfortunate for Alex. I mean, maybe he's still happy. Maybe he's well pleased. Maybe somewhere in the contract they actually say he can box. Who knows? But if it's true, then it's unfortunate because, again, you got someone that's going to probably make maybe $20 million. Maybe even $30 million. But the key word is he's going to maybe make that money in 8 fights. Not 1, not 2, maybe even 3 fights. 8 fights. That's, to me, it's a massive problem. How much money do you think Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez made in 8 fights? Way more than that. Way more than that. And I know what people are saying, well, they're 1 percenters. They're the 0.1 percenters out there. Agreed. But so is Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, top 5 UFC star right now. If you got top 5 stars, you got Alex Pereira up there. Maybe even top 3. So with him, you guys, you MMA fighters, your MMA fans out there, are you going to say that he is going to make more money doing this than he could in boxing? Right now, I feel like after he were to win, which more likely he is going to win against Cyril Gane, I feel like he should, well, maybe wait a little more after that. Maybe fight Tom Aspinall. Maybe a potential John Jones. Who knows? Maybe about 2 years. Maybe less than that. Maybe a year. He can make more money boxing, especially if he wins the heavyweight championship. If he wins the heavyweight championship, just like Francis Ngannou, and he walks away and he potentially gets a matchup with a Usyk or a Anthony Joshua or even a Tyson Fury himself, I mean, the guy can print money. The guy can walk on water after that. He will literally make probably way more than Francis Ngannou made at that time. Probably maybe even a $10, $20 million for one fight. So guys, I would like to ask you guys this. Do you think Dana White's making a huge mistake not allowing his UFC guys to box? Let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.